In today's video, get ready for a story that will remind you why the Got Talent stage remains one of the most magical platforms on the planet. Before we dive in, welcome back to the channel. If you love inspirational auditions, life-changing performances, and unbelievable true stories, then you are in the perfect place. Make sure you stay until the end because this journey is going to touch your heart in a way you never expected. Now, let's step into one of the most unforgettable moments ever to happen on Ireland's Got Talent, a moment brought to the stage by a woman who spends her everyday life saving others but walked into the spotlight to save her own forgotten dream. The story begins on a rainy evening in Dublin. The air outside the venue was cold, the kind that makes people wrap themselves in coats and scarves, rushing from place to place. But inside the theater, warmth filled the air, not from the heaters, but from the excitement of the audience buzzing with anticipation. They were ready. Ready for surprises, ready for tears, ready for talent. Little did they know that the next contestant stepping onto that stage would deliver something so pure, so breathtaking, that the entire room would fall into absolute silence. She walks in quietly from the side of the stage, almost unnoticed at first. A woman in her early 30s, wearing simple clothes, soft-spoken, a little nervous, but carrying an aura of kindness. You could sense immediately that she wasn't here for fame or glory. She wasn't trying to make a scene or create drama. She was simply here to share something deeply personal. Her name is Dr. Aileen Murphy, a practicing medical doctor in Cork, Ireland. Yes, you heard that right. A doctor. Someone whose daily life revolves around hospital corridors, emergency rooms, and life-saving responsibilities. But tonight, she wasn't holding a stethoscope. She wasn't carrying charts. She wasn't surrounded by medical staff. Instead, she stood alone, on a brightly lit stage in front of judges she had admired from afar. You could tell she wasn't used to being the center of attention. She smiled nervously as the judges introduced themselves, and one of them asked her the question everyone was thinking. You're a doctor, so what brings you to Ireland's Got Talent? Aileen takes a breath, the kind of breath that tells you she's about to reveal something she's never said aloud in front of thousands of people. I have always loved music. Singing was my first dream. But somewhere along the way, life became busy, and I chose a different path. I love my job. I love helping people. But music has always stayed with me. I guess I just wanted to do something for myself today. Her voice cracked just slightly at the end. Not from fear, but from the weight of emotion behind her words. The audience felt it instantly. The judges leaned in. There's something incredibly powerful about watching someone rediscover a piece of themselves, especially when that piece has been pushed aside for years in the name of responsibility. The host backstage whispered, "Oh wow, this is going to be something special," as he watched her through the monitors. The judges smiled warmly, encouraging her. "Take your time, doctor. We're ready whenever you are." Aileen nodded, closed her eyes, placed one hand gently over the other, and waited for the music cue. The lights dimmed. The room fell still. And the first soft notes of a piano began to echo through the theater. It was a song choice that said everything about her heart, Hallelujah. A song that demands emotion, vulnerability, and soul. The moment she opened her mouth, everything changed. No one expected this. Not the judges. Not the audience. Not even the host. Her voice wasn't just good. It wasn't just strong. It wasn't just in tune. Her voice carried purity. Her voice carried warmth. Her voice carried healing. It was as if someone took every moment she had ever spent comforting patients, every tear she had witnessed, every life she had touched, and poured all of that humanity straight into her voice. The softness in her tone made the hair on people's arms rise. The gentleness in her delivery made the room fall into complete reverence. It was the sound of someone who understood pain, understood joy, understood the fragility of life, because she lived through it every single day. The camera cut to a lady in the audience wiping tears from her face. Then to a couple holding hands tightly. Then to one of the judges, who whispered under their breath, "Oh my God." Aileen didn't move around the stage. She didn't need to. Her performance wasn't about theatrics. It was about truth. Every note came from her core. Every phrase felt like a prayer. It was the kind of singing you couldn't fake even if you tried. The type that only comes from someone who has lived deeply, loved deeply, and cared deeply. As she approached the chorus, her voice grew just slightly, blossoming with emotional intensity but never losing its softness. She didn't go for big show-off notes. Instead, she kept the soul of the song intact, delivering it with humility and grace. And that was exactly why it hit so hard. The judges were visibly emotional. One placed her hand over her heart. Another leaned all the way forward, entranced. The audience remained absolutely still. No whispering, no shuffling, no coughing. Just the purity of her voice filling the room like a warm light. Backstage, the host whispered, "She's amazing, she's absolutely amazing," his voice barely audible. One of the judges was already tearing up. You could see it in their eyes, a mix of admiration, awe, and a deep respect that only a true artist can evoke. Aileen continued, her voice carrying through the theater like an angelic echo. There was something almost spiritual about the moment. It didn't feel like a competition audition anymore. It felt like a reminder of human goodness, of passion rediscovered, of someone reaching for the dream they had quietly locked away for years. When she reached the final gentle, hallelujah, she let it float softly in the air, holding the final note just long enough for the audience to feel its weight before it faded into silence. Complete. Absolute. Silence. Then suddenly, the entire audience erupted into applause. People stood to their feet within seconds. It wasn't a gradual rise. It was instant. The kind of standing ovation that only happens when people feel something so strongly that they cannot hold back their reaction. The judges stood too. All of them. Smiling, clapping, some wiping tears. Aileen looked overwhelmed. You could tell she didn't expect this. Her hand covered her mouth, her eyes shined with disbelief. For once, she wasn't the doctor comforting others, she was the one being embraced with love. One judge spoke first. She leaned forward, her voice cracking from emotion. Aileen, I don't think I've ever heard someone sing with so much sincerity. You didn't just sing the song. You lived it. Your voice doesn't just sound beautiful, it feels beautiful. Another judge added, you walked in here saying music was your first dream. After hearing that, I can tell you one thing, that dream never died. It was just waiting for you to return to it. You have a gift, a real, genuine gift. The third judge said, you could have chosen any path, but you chose to serve people, to heal others. And somehow your voice carries that same healing. It reaches people in a way that's rare, incredibly rare. The final judge paused, looked at her with deep admiration, and said, it would be a disservice to not recognize what you just brought to this stage. And then, slowly, he reached forward and pressed the golden buzzer. The room exploded. Golden confetti shot into the air, shimmering in the stage lights. The audience roared in excitement, cheering, screaming, celebrating the moment with pure joy. Aileen froze, completely stunned. She looked around, seeing the golden rain falling around her, and tears finally flowed down her cheeks. The judges rushed to hug her, offering words of love, encouragement, and congratulations. Backstage, the host cheered louder than anyone, shouting, yes. Yes. She did it. While running onto the stage to congratulate her. Aileen covered her face, overwhelmed with emotion. Not because she won something. But because, for the first time in a very long time, she allowed herself to simply be. To simply feel. To stand in her own light. Her journey didn't start on that stage. It started years earlier, when she was a young girl who loved music more than anything, who spent hours singing in her bedroom, dreaming of one day performing for the world. But life has its way of redirecting dreams. She entered medical school. She worked endless hours. She dedicated herself to saving lives. And in the midst of all that, music quietly stepped to the side. She didn't forget it. She just didn't have time for it. But that night on Ireland's Got Talent, she gave that part of herself permission to return. And that part came back with the voice of an angel. After the show, interviews revealed even more of her journey. She explained that during the pandemic, she worked long shifts in the hospital, witnessing suffering, heartbreak, and moments of profound courage. Singing became her escape, her private therapy, a way to process the emotional weight she carried. She never imagined that one day she would share that voice publicly. But her friends encouraged her, her family supported her, and she finally decided to take a leap. And that leap brought her to the stage where thousands would witness a moment they would never forget. Her golden buzzer audition quickly spread across the internet. Millions of people watched in awe. Comments poured in from around the world, nurses, doctors, singers, mothers, fathers, young students, elderly viewers, everyone felt something when they heard her sing. Some said her voice helped them through difficult nights. Others said her humility was inspiring. Many simply said it was one of the most beautiful performances they had ever heard. She continued through the competition with grace, delivering performances that carried the same emotional depth and sincerity. She never tried to become someone she wasn't. She never changed her style for fame. She remained authentically Aileen, gentle, compassionate, angelic. Whether she won the entire competition or not didn't matter. What mattered was that she rediscovered a part of herself. A part she had pushed aside for the sake of her career. And that rediscovery led her not only to Ireland's Got Talent, but to the hearts of millions of people around the world. Her patients later commented in interviews, saying they weren't surprised at all because she always carried warmth in everything she did. One said, "She sings exactly the way she treats people, with love. This is what makes her story so beautiful. Not because she's a doctor. Not because she's a singer. But because she embodies what it means to be human, balancing duty with dreams, compassion with courage, and responsibility with passion." Her journey reminds us that dreams don't have expiration dates. They don't disappear because life becomes busy. They don't vanish because responsibilities take over. They wait. They wait patiently for the moment we are ready to embrace them again. Aileen Murphy walked onto that stage as a doctor. She walked off as Ireland's angel. And the world will never forget her voice. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like the video, share it with someone who needs inspiration today, and subscribe for more powerful talent show moments from around the world. Your support helps us keep bringing these incredible stories to life.